Okay, so let's take a look at the ASE School Bus Certification Test Series. We decided to offer this webinar to shed some light on what has been a test series that really has been around ASE for quite some time, and has been running steadily, and of course offers this specialty and does have, as you'll see in just a little bit of a crossover into a few other test series. So what we're going to talk about tonight is we're just going to talk just briefly about the background, and we're going to talk a little bit about a transitional program we have for the Master Medium Heavy Vehicle Series. I want to talk about Section 609 just briefly, go through the study guide, show you just how to use that a little bit. I'm going to go through some interactive questions, and then we'll take your questions, and then we'll provide to you some resources so you can further study and continue down the path of certification in this specialty area. So the ASE School Bus Test Series do go back quite a ways, actually. We launched those in the middle 90s, and they were based upon industry support from the National Association of Pupil Transportation. Several of the tests parallel the ASE Medium Heavy and Transit Bus tests, but are designed to test the knowledge of systems specific to school buses. Since the introduction of the S-Series tests, they've kept pace with technological changes in the various specialty segments through ASE's workshop process. And that process works basically the same for all of our test series, where we have subject matter experts contribute to that process and we facilitate it. And just to be clear about something, a passing score on any of the ASE school bus tests, along with 2 years of experience, is required to attain certification. I just wanted to reinforce the 2-year experience requirement because ASE now has, depending on the program that you participate in, it could be a 1-year experience requirement for our G1 maintenance and light repair certification, and our advanced exams are now up to the 3 years. But the school bus has been 2 years and continues to be 2 years. Like many of our test series, the school bus also has a master technician status, and that's achieved by passing and earning certification in S1 through S6. The S7 air conditioning systems and controls is not required for master status, at least at this time. It is, as traditional, a 5-year credential, and which point then recertification is required in order to be considered currently certified. Now, one thing I just want to reinforce again, which often gets forgotten, is that if you do pass any of the ASE certifications for that matter and you let it lapse, you are always eligible to come back and take the recertification version of the test instead of having to take the full version of the test. So that's always been the case in all the other certification areas. It's true in the school bus series just as well. All right, so ASE also offers a Master Medium Heavy Vehicle Technician status to those who are certified in any combination of tests 2 through 7 in the medium heavy truck, school bus, or transit bus test series. It allows technicians who work on a variety of medium heavy vehicle systems to earn master status, as well as those who are transitioning from one test series to another. You may not earn this status if you're currently a master technician in one of the other 3 test series. And again, tonight I know we're focusing on the S series, but the reason that I bring this up is that if you had transitioned over to school bus and you had things from the T series, and maybe you wanted to complete out the master by accomplishing it through certifying in 2 S series, then you'd have that status. So this is, again, this transition status that we offer in between, because there is, again, quite a bit of crossover and parallel. But again, the S series tests do remain unique. I mean, they are school bus specific tests. They don't just have a different label pasted on them. Now, briefly, I just wanted to go over this because we get this question quite a bit, and that's, does my ASE certification, that is, for air conditioning systems and controls, cover Section 609, which is for motor vehicle air conditioning systems? And the fact of the matter is that no matter what ASE certification you might have, none of those meet Section 609 requirements. It's a separate credential that you must have under federal law. So whether you had the T7, H7, S7, or A7 for that matter, any of those do not equal the Section 609 for motor vehicle air conditioning systems and service. So just know that refrigerant management is a separate entity unto itself. All of the air conditioning tests that we provide, they may get into a little bit of that, but they don't cover it in the scope that the EPA requires for this type of program. And if you're interested in this program, we offer it two ways. Most convenient is online, where you can go and review the material and take the quiz right online. I'll give you the link to that in just a little bit, or you can take it in paper form. We also have paper booklets. And the other part about that is, again, by federal law, you're required to have this if you're servicing these motor vehicle air conditioning systems. It's not an optional thing. You have to have it. Okay, I want to go through the study guide just quickly. These sometimes get misunderstood. They sometimes get, misconstrued, misinterpreted, lots of misses that go along with it. But really, I consider at least the ASE study guide for school bus and all the ASE test series to be where it all really begins with preparation. In that, you're going to find test series details, your specifications and task lists, which are really important because all ASE tests are built to a blueprint. And we publish that blueprint to the free world, and we make it available to you, and it's important to you. And so many people sidestep it and go through all kinds of crazy things in order to try to prepare for a test, and they do it so often without even taking the time to know what they're up against. And those missteps can cost you when you go and you take the test. So obviously it includes content areas and tasks that we go through. We provide some sample questions in there, and we also provide some resources with reference to test prep and training. So there's one excerpt out of that guide, and again, this is in your handouts from the panel, so you can look through it yourself, on your own time. And again, all the guides also are available on the ASE website at ase.com under test prep and training. But just for the sake of tonight, I wanted to call out one thing, and in front of you, you see the test specifications and task list for the test S1. And what I've got shown here is really just the safety and emergency equipment systems diagnosis and repair. And you'll see that on the test, it represents 10 questions and it represents 20% of the overall content. Now, underneath that content area, you see a number of tasks that are listed. And those are the things that the questions are written around, is those various tasks. And so by acquainting yourself with those specific tasks, you can do a self-inventory and say to yourself, do I do this kind of work all the time? Am I familiar with that? Do I feel fluent in accomplishing that on a daily basis? And if you do, it's great. But if you don't, you may want to make a little check in the margin or make a note or somehow to be able to circle back before you go to the test center and say, I need to prepare for some of these areas a little bit. I feel a little bit light there, so maybe I need to hit that. Okay. All right, test one more time. Got sound back? I apologize. All right, so I'm gonna recap here real quickly on the test spec slide. Is that okay with everybody? That sound good? All right, so the sample that I just wanted to show real quickly is that on the test specifications and task list, I'm just going to pull one content area here under safety and emergency equipment systems diagnosis. You'll see the tasks listed below that. It helps to drill down into that before you go and you prepare so that you can make best use of your time when you go to a training class, or whether you go through manuals or OE information or whatever you do. You can go to these specific tasks, say, yeah, I'm not up on that. I need to brush up a little bit and go through that. So This applies to every test, certainly to all the S-Series tests, and whatever you're interested in, take the time to go through the study guide to do that. All right, now what I want to do is I'm going to try something here that's hopefully going to work out to be okay with respect to being interactive. I want to provide, ASE really uses 3 styles of questions. And the first question style that we're going to talk about here is a direct or completion style question. And it does help to know, how to approach these questions as well as the content that you're going up against. So with a direct or completion style question, you're asked a question or you're asked to complete a statement. And what you need to do is read the entire question carefully and then consider each of the 4 choices and rule out the ones that you think are obviously wrong. If you're left with 2 or more options that seem plausible to you, you may be lacking some knowledge that would help you rule out a wrong answer. Choose the answer that seems most likely to you based on your experience. If you still cannot choose an answer, take your best guess and go on. There may be a cause that's more likely than any of the choices given, but you should select the most likely of the 4 choices shown. Okay, so what we're looking at now and what you should be viewing is the stem of a question of direct or completion style, and I want you to just evaluate this here for a moment. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to present to you the answers to the question that you can go ahead and select in the audience. Now, for the purposes of tonight, nobody's being graded on this or anything. What we're going to do is we're just going to look at the answers and see how everybody, thinks these questions through using deductive reasoning and then again evaluating this type of question. So in the audience, go ahead and select your answer that you think is correct. And I won't wait for 100% of them to come in, but I'll wait till we get at least a majority of you to respond. And you should be able to do this on portable devices now too. We didn't used to be able to do that. Give it just a little bit more. Got 65% of the audience, almost 70 now. A few more you, and then I'll cut it off. All right, that's probably close enough. I'll go ahead and I'll stop it at that point. And again, here's the stem of the question. And now I'll share with you what you as a group responded. Okay, so 9% of you chose A. Now, A would have been incorrect because a stuck open quick release exhaust port doesn't cause a brake chattering noise. Moving on to B, 11% of you chose that. That'd be incorrect because excessive air pressure wouldn't cause the service brakes to create a chattering noise. Moving on to C, that would be the correct response because worn anchor pin bushings could cause the brake shoes to vibrate, causing a chattering noise. And lastly, D would be incorrect because a ruptured brake spring diaphragm or spring brake diaphragm wouldn't cause a brake chattering noise. So you guys did pretty good, actually. Okay, the next question we're going to look at is a Technician A, Technician B style question. In this type of question, two technicians are making independent statements which you must judge to be true or false. The most common mistake with this type of question is allowing one technician's statement to influence your thinking about the others. Always keep in mind that the two technicians are not arguing with one another. They're just simply making independent statements. So here's a trick. Read Tech A's statement and ask yourself if it's true or false. Then do the same with Tech B's statement. If only one of the statements is true, your answer is either A or B. If both statements are true, the answer is C. If both statements are false, then your answer is D. And I'll let you go ahead and process that for a moment. All right, now I'm going to launch the answers for that for you to select from. Okay, we're getting there. We're about 60%. All right, I'm going to go ahead and close that out. And again, here's the question. And now let's see how you did. All right, 16% chose A. A would be incorrect in the context of the question, although it would be correct on its own as a statement. We have to remember there's two statements here that we have to evaluate. 20% of you chose B, and that would be incorrect in the context of the question, but it would be correct on its own. 55% of you chose C, which is great because that was the correct answer, because the statements made by Tech A and Tech B in this case would be correct. And lastly, 9% chose D. That'd be an incorrect answer because one or more of the tech statements is correct. All right, let's move on to our third question style. And this is the accept or least likely type of question. This type of question usually begins with a statement of a problem or a malfunction of some kind. You must choose the one thing that is least likely to cause the problem. In simple terms, this means there will be three answers that will cause the problem and one answer that won't cause the problem. You're looking for the single answer that won't cause the problem. Often the best way to find the answer is by process of elimination. And here it is, your accept least likely question. All right, I'm going to go ahead and launch the answer possibilities for you. Okay, we're just about there. Okay, that's probably close enough. And let's see how we did. Okay, if you would have chose A, crushed exhaust pipe, 6% of you did, that would have been incorrect because a crushed exhaust pipe would not cause this problem. B would be correct, and 63% of you chose that answer because an oversized muffler wouldn't increase exhaust back pressure. If you chose C, an exhaust pipe that is too long, and 14% of you did, that would be incorrect because an exhaust pipe that is too long could increase the exhaust back pressure. And lastly, D, 17% of the audience chose that. Buildup into DPF, that'd be incorrect because buildup within the DPF would increase exhaust back pressure. And again, this is an except, so you're looking for the one that's the opposite there, won't cause the problem. And that would be B. But the point in showing this to you and demonstrating this for you is to go through a little bit of the process on how to evaluate questions. Again, there's more to working on a question than the technical content itself, is making sure that you understand in very clear terms what the question's asking of you in its format. One of the things I want to offer to you based on that is we do have a tool on our website at ase.com, and it's quick test prep and training and test taking tips. We have this little interactive thing with an old guy we used to have here, iconic character called Ted the Technician. It's called Tips for ASE Test Taking. And you'll find that if you look that up, you can go through several, now these are auto questions that are in here, but nonetheless, when you go into it, it'll go through these question types, and you can actually choose answers, and it'll scratch them out for you, so on and so forth. And it gets you in pretty good habit of evaluating ASE test questions. It's totally free up on the ASE website. It's there all the time, and I recommend and suggest to you that you go and spend a little time working with this tool. And again, this will be in the resources that I hand out, or that's in our handout section. Okay, with that, I'd like to go ahead and see what we have for questions. Bob, Dan. Do we have anything that stands out?
Hey, Dave, could you just focus quickly for those that had issues with their platform that they were using tonight, where they can find the recorded version of this webinar? I know that's jumping ahead a little bit, but there was a lot of questions coming up about that.
Sure. Yeah, the recorded version of this webinar will be on YouTube on the ASE Campus channel. And if you just go to YouTube and type in ASE Campus, you can subscribe to that channel and you'll be notified of any new content that gets loaded up. But also, as a follow-up to this webinar, you will be receiving an email that will show you where this recorded version is. But I also just want to suggest to you that we try to record all of these and post them up on YouTube for people to look at a later date, and all the various topics. So we try to make a habit of that.
Then there's a question about the S-Series of practice tests, and currently we don't have many S-Series practice tests available. The best way to address that is really the sheer volumes dictate where the masses produce content for ASE exams to support it outside of the ASE or family of organizations. So we do produce content for that, specifically the study guide or task list or job description for candidates seeking that credential. But then outside of our organization is where you'd find information to help train and learn the skills that are on those task lists. We might have in the near future, hopefully, some practice test content for the exam, again, as the exam moves forward in its life cycle and becomes more and more prevalent out there. It'll help us support it better. Dave, just a quick, you brought up 609. Can you point the people to the right direction to get more 609 information? Again, just repeat that for me so I can catch up on the questions.
Yeah, I saw that one pop up in there, Dan, and that's a good point. The 609, actually, we don't have a study guide like in the way that we do with the ASE certification test. We actually have the training material because that's a program that we actually prepared the training material for our very own quiz. So it's pretty comprehensive. And there's two ways that you can get that. Actually, there's more than that, but the two primary ways are you can go to ase.com, go into tests, and then you'll go in and you'll see there's a category of ASE certification tests and other ones, and you see refrigerant recovery and recycling. And if you click on that, you'll be able to download the booklet, which is the print booklet with the exception of the quiz. We do not have the quiz in the online booklet. We do that only in the physical booklet that we distribute here from headquarters. Okay, that's one way to get it off the ASE website. The other way to do it is if you go to our learning management system site at asecampus.com, you'll see on the top of that page there is a banner for the refrigerant recovery recycling program, and right under that you'll see that you can view or print the training manual, and you'll download that in a PDF format, and it'll be the same thing as you get off the ASE website. So either way, if you decide that you want to go ahead and you want to take it online and go ahead and take your online quiz, you'll find that if you make an enrollment, register, or whatever you want to call it, when you are successfully, when you complete that enrollment, you'll find that it'll stuff a booklet in your profile and it'll stuff a quiz in your profile.
Okay, then I'd like to get to a question. Alternate fuels for the school buses. Bob, could you answer that for me at all? Do we have an approach for that currently? And I'll move on to another question as you do that.
I'm sorry, Dan, didn't hear the question, sir.
I said on alt fuels for the such as propane systems on the school buses, do we have an exam that addresses that? And I'm going to move down the series here and get a couple more answers going so I can help you.
We do actually have an exam for the alternate fuels. It's actually the F1 test. It's not specific to the school bus series of tests. We have one for the transit bus test. It's the H1. It's CNG. Our F1 is alternate fuels, and it will stand in and will work in the school bus series, but we don't have a standalone one right now for school bus.
All right, for requirements on the Blue Seal shop, I'd suggest that you go to the www.ase.com, search Blue Seal. That'll get you in the right approach there. As for, there was a question related to, asked about what type of B bus is that, and asked about how many types. So I'm thinking that's somebody who's new to the school bus side, so if we could help them a little bit, that would be helpful.
Bob, can you handle that one?
Dave, again, I apologize. I was typing an answer to another one, sir. What was the question, sir?
Okay. The question is about the series buses. I mean, the school bus series of exams covers A, B, C, and D, right?
That's correct. Yes, sir. So your question
was... And then there's a
was...
question about... Oh, sorry. What size is a B bus? Where can they find information on the sizes of buses and types of buses, Bob?
I think that's right in our study guide.
I believe it's in the study guide, someplace near the front. It gives a breakdown of what they are. A would be the smaller, like the Chevy small buses with a gas engine in the front.
It's in the study guide. Yep.
It's on page 8 so we have that in the handout. So if you go to page 8 of the PDF school bus guide, you'll find the definition of them there and the types.
Again, to the if you're master certified in medium heavy truck exams, specifically say the truck exam, and you want to be a school bus master certified technician, you have to take all of the school bus tests to get that master certification. Correct, Bob?
Yes, sir, that's correct. So you're talking to transitional, Dan, from truck
No,
to school
they're
bus?
just asking if they already have a full full master and medium heavy truck. They have to pursue, in order to be a school bus master, they have to pursue all those exams in school bus, correct?
That is correct. Each test series will be a standalone test series. So if you're already a truck master and you wanted to go after the school bus, you would have to take the whole school bus series as well. And the issue becomes, or what we're seeing with these, the truck series is unique in a lot of ways from the school bus series. So we want each, if you're going to be a school bus master, to do the whole program to the school bus side.
All right. And also, we have many of these questions can be answered very simply with a quick search of the ASE website or the webinars that we've posted on YouTube. If you search ASE Campus on YouTube, you'll go right to our page there on YouTube, and it has a list of all the webinars we've done. So simple questions such as, how do I find a test center? How do I register for exams? How do I find out more about the practice tests you currently offer? How do I prepare for other exam series outside of what we're talking about? That's where you'll find that. If you're chasing practice information, and many people have asked, where do I, how accurate are the questions for the that I'll find on the practice information that I'm purchasing or that I find? You have to keep in mind that when you go to take an ASE exam, those questions are written by technical committees, as explained in many of our webinars before, but they're written by technical committees. The technical committee then reviews those questions. They approve them if they are prevalent technical content across the industry. Okay, school bus in this particular case is what we're talking about, and that it handles tasks that are on that task list or job description inside the ASE study guide or the foundation of the exam. If they meet that, then they're put onto an exam, they're pre-tested to gain statistical analysis, and then they're brought into an exam, and each exam is built to a specific level of difficulty and a specific cut score. So in order to continue moving that forward, we have to make sure that we produce exam content that has good statistical numbers for it. So if you look at an item out there in the practice world, it probably hasn't met those standards. However, you should take from it that you can learn about the ASE question types from them, assuming they're written close or parallel to the ASE question types. You should be able to learn maybe a little bit about content and maybe a little bit about your preparedness on that particular task that it references. As for test center location, that's been asked multiple times. Test centers can be located by using the test center locator available on the ASE website, so www.ase.com. And then when you go there, what you're looking for is a find a test center, and that's the key. Under quick links, it says on the left-hand side of the page, it says find a test center. You click on that, type in your zip code, and then you're good to go. Okay, so that's the best way to find out if there's something nearby, and then go from there. Use your zip code to search. That'll help you. That's the best thing I can tell you on that. And then what you want to type into YouTube again is ASE Campus, C-A-M-P-U-S. Again, that was up on Dave's pane there.
Those URLs are also in the resources Word document that's in the handout section. So all those URLs, which we always get asked about URLs and retyping them and so on and so forth. So I'm glad we can finally offer that to you. And you'll find those in there to go to those various resources. But again, everybody, the 609 program is an open book thing. So even though sometimes that gets confused with certifications, that's an open book thing. It can be taken online or in a booklet where you can take your time. There's no time limit on it, and you go through the information and then you answer questions based on that information. And we just revised that program for 2015. Our newest version rolled out, which covers 1234, R744, R152A, and some other stuff, including the management practices and the equipment. And it is more thorough than it has been in the past and requires more study. So I encourage people to not run through that. And speaking of that, I have a question here about the refrigerant recycling program from 46 and 92. Does it cover 609? Yes, it covers 609. The only thing I want to say, and we get this question all the time too, is if I took it some time ago, does it still qualify me for 609? The answer to that on a federal basis is yes. There is at this present moment no recertification requirement for 609, but we have heard some noise that that could be coming. But as of right now, you're covered. The only thing I will say to you is if you took it back in 1992 or some time ago, the program you took back then does not cover all the information that our current program does. So although you're not required, we strongly urge you that might be a good idea. And there's a question about ASE series.
Gentleman asked about being a...
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, so there's a question about ASE.
The gentleman asked about... Your turn.
The S series being obtained through 609 open book, and no, S series certification is given at a Proctor test center like all of the ASE tests. So 609 is a completely different animal, but although it's open book and it's a little more relaxed in terms of how you take it and everything, it does have federal teeth in it. And I again, if you have not taken that program and don't have that qualification on file and you work on motor vehicle air conditioning, please do it for your own good.
And then there was a question about work experience requirement for the ASE exams in general. The work experience requirement, if you are a student, I'm going to fudge this a little bit, but approximately 50% of your schooling can count towards work experience up to a year on the 2-year experience requirement. So if you're chasing school bus, transit bus, medium heavy truck, automobile series, collision series, 2 years of a program count towards 1 year of work experience, and you'll need your other year of work experience outside of that. Hopefully that answers it for those of you that were asking that directly. There's also more information available on that. If you search the ASE website and look up work experience, we have a very detailed graphic of what's required because it is now staggered. G1 exam, the light maintenance and light repair exam for automobile series is a 1-year work experience requirement. The automobile series, transit bus, school bus, medium heavy truck, collision series, those are 2-year work experience, along with the service parts specialist and service consultant and the specialty exams such as X1 and the like, but there are also some other requirements on X1. But the issue is they're 2-year work experience requirement. And the advanced level exams, L1, advanced engine performance on the gasoline side, L2, the advanced engine performance on the diesel side, and then the L3, the medium hybrid vehicle exam, those require 3 years work experience. So that's what we're looking at there. Any other questions that you can see, Bob? I ran down as fast as I could trying to populate them.
I do not. There is another one going on about 609, and it doesn't cover refrigerated trailers, trains, or planes. Again, 609 is the program for mobile AC, mobile vehicle AC. Again, we've got school buses and transit buses if they've got some of the AC units mounted on the roof. That is correct. They'll not be covered by 609, depending on the application. So that's the majority of the ones I'm seeing right now, Dan, are about the 609 to 608.
Real quickly, I just wanted to put a visual up on the screen.
And then changing. Oh.
Since we seem to be getting quite a few questions on applications for. We're getting a lot of questions about 609 applications versus 608, or that 609 covers everything, and it doesn't. The visual that's on the screen, I think, says it about as good as anything could. Is that 609 applies to, passenger cars, buses as long as they're not R22, and it's a motor vehicle type system with a belt-driven compressor, over-the-road trucks as long as it cools the inside and not the refrigerated trailer. A refrigerated trailer is a 608 application. And then you have this other kind of overlap area called MVAC-like appliances, which could be ag equipment, construction equipment. As long as that air conditioning system is substantially identical to that on a regular MVAC of a light truck or so on and so forth, passenger car, then it's okay to be a 609 application. Where you get in these other areas are trains, aircraft, refrigerated trailers, so on and so forth. Those are 608, and 609 is not going to cover you there. Anything else, gents?
There's a few other questions on here, Dave. And folks, again, we'll continue to reply to these. If we don't finish them all tonight, we'll get back to you guys tomorrow and send some responses back. So if your question was there and we didn't get a chance to answer it, bear with us. We'll try to get those all replied to. So
yeah, I think some of these are definitely need a direct approach and website links, and it's harder to do that in the chat pane. So yeah. Thank you very much, Dave.
Okay. Well, thanks again, everyone, for joining us tonight for this webinar on the ASE School Bus Certification Series for technicians. And on behalf of Matt Haw, Dan Baumhart, and Bob Cornwell, I'm Dave Kappert, and we'll see you at the next ASE webinar. Thanks again for joining us. Good night, everyone.